An army of 100,000 soldiers could consume more than 100 tons of food every day. Bread, flour, meat, and alcohol all had to move with the army. Thousands of horses carried cavalrymen, pulled cannon, and dragged wagons. They needed a mountain of fodder of their own. But there were no trucks, no railways, and no refrigerated containers. Everything moved at the speed of a walking horse. Worse, every new wagon required more horses, and those horses consumed part of the supplies they were supposed to transport. So how could an army cross an entire country without starving? Armies survived by turning the land ahead into part of their supply system. When it worked, they could move with astonishing speed. When it failed, soldiers went hungry while food still existed only a few miles away. A soldier's ration varied, but bread or flour formed its foundation. Meat, peas, rice, and alcohol might be added when available. Even 1 pound of bread for 100,000 men weighed more than 45 tons. Add meat, and the burden nearly doubled. Then came ammunition, tents, medical supplies, and cooking equipment. Soldiers carried several days of food, but extra rations made marching harder, food spoiled, and rain could ruin flour. No army could carry an entire campaign on its back. Before a campaign, supplies were collected in magazines. Warehouses filled with grain, flour, biscuit, meat, ammunition, and equipment. Contractors purchased food. Bakeries produced bread, and cattle followed the army. Rivers were valuable because boats moved far more cargo than wagons. Horse-drawn convoys carried supplies forward, but they stretched for miles, broke down easily, and occupied the soldiers' roads. Depots kept an army alive, but they could not always keep up with it. Armies therefore obtained much of their food locally. Officers demanded bread, grain, cattle, wine, and fodder from towns along the route. Sometimes it was purchased, sometimes hungry soldiers simply took it. But grain had to be ground, flour baked, cattle slaughtered, and horses fed every day. Armies used parallel roads, so one column did not consume everything before the next arrived. In fertile regions, troops could move faster than their wagons, but the army had to keep moving. It behaved like a traveling city that consumed the countryside behind it. Horses made the system possible and dangerously fragile. Cavalry, artillery, ambulances, and wagons depended on animals that ate far more than soldiers. The teams pulling grain and hay ate part of their own cargo. Mud, broken wheels, and dead horses could stop the entire chain. The real challenge was not simply finding food. It was placing the correct food on the correct road at the correct moment. Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812 revealed what happened when this calculation collapsed. The French prepared magazines and thousands of supply vehicles. They had not simply forgotten to bring food. The force was enormous, the distances vast, and the roads inadequate. The army outran its wagons. Russian forces removed or destroyed supplies, while the first French columns stripped villages before later units arrived. Soldiers foraged farther from the road, where they became separated, deserted, fell sick, or were attacked. Every lost horse and wagon worsened the next shortage. The supply system was breaking long before the worst winter cold arrived. So how did armies feed 100,000 men without trucks? They combined depots, rivers, wagons, carried rations, cattle, and local supplies. They temporarily converted the surrounding country into a supply network. But that network depended on balance. Remain too long, and the countryside was emptied. Advance too quickly, and the wagons were left behind. An army could defeat its enemy on the battlefield, and still be destroyed by the distance between a loaf of bread and a hungry soldier.